Now, the next person that I want to talk about in my series on the members of Shadow Garden is none other than the best Doggo Delta, and similar to my previous video, I'll be covering her story throughout the series along with her talents, powers, and abilities. As usual, this video will contain spoilers for her character and the story of the Eminence in Shadow, so here's a spoiler warning just in case. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a like and feel free to subscribe to the channel for more content like this in the future. To start, who is Delta, our beloved Doggo? So before she joined Shadow Garden and became known as Delta, her actual name was Sarah and she was born and raised as a wolf Therianthrope, or also known as a wolf beastkin. Her father was the chieftain of a clan, but she was treated badly because her mother was one of the many low-ranking concubines of the chieftain. However, because she managed to take down a giant boar when she was just 3, her standing in the clan greatly increased, as it was quite uncommon even for a Therianthrope to achieve something like this. Apparently, she was born with greater physical abilities, sharper senses, and faster reflexes than the average Therianthrope, and she has managed to refine her talents since young, although her weakness was definitely her intelligence, a common occurrence in her species. By the age of 12, she was considered to be the strongest fighter in her clan, second only to her father, but sadly she became afflicted with demon possession, so she was kicked out of her clan and hunted down by her father. Luckily, she managed to escape thanks to her skills in hunting, and she lived in the forest for a while. However, her possession eventually became so serious that she couldn't even walk, so she collapsed and she would be approached by Alpha, who just wanted to help. Sarah rejected her help and even tried attacking the elf girl with the last of her strength, so Shadow was forced to step in, and when she saw the young boy, she experienced fear for the first time ever in her life. That's because her instincts told her how dangerous and strong he actually was, so she did the only logical thing that she could and saw loyalty to him. With that, her demon possession was cured and she became the 4th person to join Shadow Garden. She was also given the new name of Delta by her boss Sid, and after she joined, she had challenged Alpha to battle because she wanted to replace her as the second in command, but unfortunately she lost, so she submitted to her as well. That's why within the organization, Delta only listens to the commands of Sid and Alpha. Now, Delta eventually became part of the original 7 Shadows when 3 other girls had joined as well, and out of everyone, she probably has the worst relationship with Zeta because they always got into arguments whenever they're together. And every time they fought, it seems to always end up with either Delta going berserk and Zeta just running away, or the both of them getting scolded by Alpha. However, I think they don't actually hate each other. Instead, this likely just boils down to their natural instincts as Therianthropes because Delta is a doggo while Zeta is a cat. In any case, Delta was considered to be the 4th strongest in Shadow Garden right behind Sid, Alpha and Zeta. However, in terms of her physical prowess, her raw destructive power was second only to Sid, and even her tracking skills along with her sensors surpasses everyone in the organization. The only reason she was ranked number 4 was simply because she lacks the interest to learn other techniques and fighting styles, so she became quite predictable when it came to combat, and someone with the right technique and skill can easily overpower her. Although Sid did try really hard to teach her, but he became so frustrated by the experience that he just gave up and simply asked her to rely on her brute strength to physically pummel her enemies instead. That's why her swordsmanship skill is very primitive and is only at the level of an average knight, and for magic, she isn't even capable of casting any spells aside from some very basic reinforcement magic, although she did take this type of magic to the extreme. Her magic control was also subpar, but she compensates for the lack of control by having an insanely large quantity of mana supply, so she doesn't have to worry about efficiency or losing mana. Essentially, she's just someone that maxed out her physical attack stat and nothing else, so it's not surprising that hunting was her specialty and she was only useful when it came to missions that mostly involve fighting or destroying things. But anyways, Delta later participated in the first Shadow Garden mission to rescue Sid's sister Claire Cardinal from the Cult of Diablos, and they attacked the hideout of Viscount Oba. After the Viscount was eliminated by a boss, and with the successful rescue of Claire, Delta would live with Alpha and the other girls for 2 years in order to expand Shadow Garden's influence across the world to better combat the cult. So at the start, Shadow Garden was restructured to become more streamlined by giving everyone a proper role within the organization, and Delta was assigned to be their main fighter, meaning she would be involved in direct combat like fighting members from the cult during their missions to rescue the possessed or other matters that are similar in nature. Now, because Delta wasn't really essential to the day-to-day operations of Shadow Garden, she mostly spends her time sleeping, eating and training while waiting to be deployed for missions, although she does occasionally help out when needed. For example, when Alpha and the others needed to find the ancient city of Alexandria, Delta was responsible for using her heightened senses to help them navigate through the Abyss Forest. Also, when they eventually moved their base to Alexandria, Delta often serves as Etta's guinea pig, and she assisted Etta in testing the defenses of the new base where she fought against Alpha yet again, but she still lost to her. However, not much happened afterwards, although I do want to mention that during a scouting mission with Alpha and Zeta in the mountains near Limworm, this was likely the first instance where Delta had used one of her signature moves, Iron Slab, to battle with enemies from the Cult of Diablos. Essentially, she activates this skill by releasing her magical power to manifest a giant sword of slime to take out multiple enemies at the same time, and although it does resemble a sword, she mostly uses it as a hammer instead to smash people. Having said that, Delta was quite the troublemaker when she was younger because whenever she starts getting bored or angry, she would bully the other members of Shadow Garden, especially Gamma because she was weaker, or even destroying random things around her as well. That's why Alpha rarely allowed Delta to leave their base unsupervised, and often she can only leave after getting permission from Alpha or Sid to avoid the risk of exposing Shadow Garden. Apparently, Sid even tried on multiple occasions to teach her about self-control and patience, but he never could, so he simply gave up and just let her be, although she did become a bit tamer and less impulsive when she grew older. So yeah, after 2 years had passed, Shadow Garden was now a powerful organization and Delta mostly stayed in the Mitsugoshi branch located in the MIDGAR kingdom. She was finally deployed when Princess ALEXIA MIDGAR was kidnapped by the Cult of Diablos and Sid was framed for the crime. Delta was allowed to go berserk across the capital to take out all the known hideouts of the Fenrir faction, a group belonging to the cult that operated in the area. And following the successful rescue of Princess ALEXIA, Delta joined Alpha on a mission to investigate the mysterious sanctuary in the Holy Land of Limworm. During the goddess trials, her boss had appeared to battle the Witch of Calamity Aurora, so they waited for the conclusion of the battle. When the witch was defeated, the gates to the sanctuary opened, so Delta along with Alpha finally showed themselves and they entered the sanctuary with Archbishop Nelson as well. Inside the sanctuary, Delta was mainly on standby while Alpha revealed the truth about the cult, the hero Olivier and the demon Diablos. Now when Nelson started to build up his magic, Delta had sensed his hostility, so she decided to kill him, but he soon returned and activated the defense system of the sanctuary. Delta and Alpha started to fight the clones of Nelson, and even though the sanctuary was draining their magic, Delta wasn't really worried because like I said, she has an almost endless supply of mana. Nevertheless, her bloodlust caused her to enter her Hunter Frenzy mode, which made her more aggressive and stronger, and Alexia describes it as a fighting style with no semblance of form or technique, just pure unbridled violence. Eventually, Delta decided to take out her Iron Slab and this time a far larger version to completely crush all the clones of Nelson while also breaking the sanctuary's defense system. Afterwards, Epsilon and the others had completed their investigations on the sanctuary, so Alpha ordered Delta to stand down and they left. With the events in Limworm over, Delta was deployed again during the Great Trade Alliance conflict and she was sent to the capital to eliminate targets from the major corporate alliance that was sabotaging the supply chain on the Mitsugoshi company. But on her way over, she finally saw her boss again and hugged him straight away. She even detected the scent of a fox on him, likely because he has been working with Yukime as John Smith, so he quickly changed the subject and decided to join Delta in her hunt. Also apparently, Delta likes to do this every time she sees a boss, which is to mark him with her own scent. In any case, they both went hunting and Delta would always be the one leading the search because her 5 senses, especially her smell, sight and hearing, were considered the best in Shadow Garden, even surpassing Sid himself. So when she located her targets, she completely ripped them all apart, leaving none for Sid, which is one of her bad habits of being impatient. That said, there was still one person left and apparently he was one of Delta's many brothers, but she doesn't really care about him because he's weak, so she killed him without a second thought. And I found it funny how Delta suggested that Sid kill her father and take over a clan so that he can make tons of strong babies to rule the world. Obviously, he just ignores her, and although she still wanted to hunt more, she was dragged back to the capital by him. So back to the main conflict, Delta was sent to deal with a man named John Smith after the numbers were defeated by him. She then found her target and quickly attacked him with a hug because John Smith was the boss all along, and it was funny how Sid tried to take a bath and coat himself with tons of perfume to trick Delta, but her nose was too powerful. Now after discovering this, she wanted to tell Alpha because she knows that she can defeat John Smith, but not wanting her to expose him just yet, she was sent away on a mission to take down Juggernaut in the Lawless City. She was also promised a reward if she completes this mission, so she quickly headed to the Lawless City and poor Juggernaut got targeted by Best Doggo for no reason. While she was away on Sid's top secret mission, Alpha and the others assumed that she had died at the hands of John Smith, but when Beta revealed that their master had not betrayed them, Delta just so happens to return from her mission and they were all happy to see her again. But yeah, after the conflict with the MCA was resolved, Delta was given another mission by Sid, this time to help him dig through the snow to find his stolen gold, not knowing that it was Alpha and the girls who took it. Although she did discover a red gem in the snow, but Sid decided to run away before she could tell him. Now with that, Delta wasn't present during the events at the Oriana Kingdom, and when her boss was transported to Japan, she waited for him to return so that she could get her reward. When Sid did return, she immediately headed to the MIDGAR Raw Spelser Academy to find him because she wanted him to praise her for hunting Juggernaut and to give him the red gem that she found. Also, her main purpose was to claim her reward, and she took the fish that Zeta had given to Sid. However, before Delta could eat the fish, Zeta arrives and the both of them started to argue as usual, and out of spite, Delta decided to eat the fish, which prompted Zeta to attack her. Then the two fought, and even though Zeta was hidden with the blood mist skill of the Vampire Queen Elizabeth, Delta still easily dodged her hidden attacks, and using her senses, she almost caught Zeta inside the mist. But Delta finally lost control and went berserk after taking a continuous barrage of attacks from Zeta's Thousand Blades technique. She released all her magical power, activating her iron slab, and she was definitely ready to destroy the entire school and kill Zeta along with all the students there. Luckily, Zeta ran away just in time because, like I said, whenever they both fought, it always ends up with no real victor, so Delta, who was still angry, chased after Zeta, but apparently she eventually lost track of her. That said, I do think that Delta doesn't really hate anyone in Shadow Garden, even Zeta, and actually cares for them in her own unique way, and most of the time it was Zeta that actually provokes her first, so we can't really blame Delta for getting angry. So anyways, Delta is definitely one of my personal favorites in Shadow Garden because almost every scene with her always ends up being absolutely hilarious, and the way she interacts with other characters, especially Sid, is just so endearing to watch, and I hope to see more of her interactions with him in the future. But aside from that, her childlike enthusiasm and her brutal personality is the perfect juxtaposition to make her more entertaining and give her more depth as a character. Also, despite being treated like an idiot, Delta still has her own qualities and uniqueness, like not being restricted by common sense, and because of this, she often comes up with very unconventional ideas or solutions. But what do you think of Delta? Is she the best doggo and best girl in Shadow Garden, or do you have someone else in mind? So that was basically all the information on Delta's character overall, and we just have 3 more shadows to go, and hopefully I managed to cover everything. But what are your thoughts about her? Feel free to share your thoughts down below. Also, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification button as well, it really helps. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay safe everyone.